I'm your host and sometimes referee to Friendly Neighborhood, Zach Pearson, and today I'm joined by the echoing living legend that is possibly the verbally scariest member of the entire podcast, despite his long absence, one Haven Morris.
In a world where diabetes keeps me down, water is my only hope.
Damn. So yeah, for the uninitiated, Haven actually does have diabetes, which is why we will not be disclosing or discussing donuts in this episode. Moving on. So in case you couldn't already see it on your screen, we will be discussing She-Hulk, and our review categories are listed over here on the right. And for you people who are, only doing this via podcasting or no video locations, I'm going to narrate what I'm saying or seeing. She-Hulk review categories will be VFX coming in first, casting choices, number 2. Number 3, narrative aspects as a whole, not just one specific episode, the entire thing. And of course, we can nitpick where is nitpickable. Number 4, favorite parts. And number 5, least favorite parts. And finally, our grade and summary. Now, the time skips will be only for people who obviously can, see the video on YouTube. However, I will try to make sure in description boxes on whatever platform this ends up on that we also make sure that at least bare minimum, we try to get the time skip information in the boxes. But as I've learned the hard way, not every single place has unlimited texting for a description. Some people have a hard fucking limit, which baffles me, because now that makes me wonder what happens if we over detail one video and then the description text cuts something off that's important. Like, do I even get notified? I'm gonna have to look into that. We're on a few too many platforms. Anyways, all right, so I'm gonna go down first with my entire list. I'm gonna try not to spend more than 5 to 10 minutes on each individual topic. I can only hope that you do the same. That being said, as you know, I don't mind interjections, but keep them peaceful and make sure you ask, can I say something right here? Or, hey, I have a question about this thing you're saying, blah, blah, blah. Okay?
I'll be civil.
Well, we both know you're lying, but I appreciate you trying. I do appreciate that. Okay, so number 1, let me just get this out the way right now because I know everyone and their mom's gonna fucking bring this up. Yes, Marvel's VFX and their approach to it is a fucking problem. I don't mean in the sense that I think it looks terrible. No, I mean in their approach to how they're treating these third-party companies and whatnot. They think that VFX artists grow on trees, essentially, or that they can just pull them out of the ground and get quality. I get it. I understand it. However, we don't know the suffering or the extent of the suffering, if any, is involved with She-Hulk. So in that regard, I just want to state we're only going off of what we saw on screen. And in my case, even though I have Disney Plus, and whenever the Blu-rays or hopefully 4Ks of this show come out, I'm also going to get it. I went out of my way to make sure, those issues where you can get congestion or visual quality randomly fluctuates, because we all know the visual quality on all these websites is not locked into place. We can make sure that I could see it in its original intended glory. So I have acquired offline copies of She-Hulk. But again, I don't feel like I should be giving crap for this. Number 1, because half of y'all just took Hollywood at its word about killing people's jobs. But on top of that, I'm already a Disney Plus subscriber and I'm getting the Blu-ray and or 4K when it comes out. Marvel's getting my money, so shut up. Your opinion is invalid. Now, with that being said, I gotta say, for the most part, with the exception of for some reason, She-Hulk having a bit of a yellowish tint that shows up in sunlight scenes. And I don't mean golden hour, you know, the time of day near afternoon when everything's got that little bronzish, goldish color to it. Hence why it got the nickname golden hour. Even in night scenes sometimes with indoor fluorescent types of lighting, she seems to have this eerily like parts of the front of her face and parts of her hand where there's like small tint of a yellowish tint. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it bothers me because when you look at her legs, those glorious, glorious thighs, it's not there. It's specifically only on her face. I don't know if maybe the people using a color monitor, which isn't the same as a regular TV, please don't mistake them, especially with the price point. I think it may be a situation where no one noticed it and it's too late to go back. But then again, this is online, so probably not. But primarily, that might just be a personal gripe. However, I did mess around with my TV, and also I took screenshots and put it under, you know, a color scanner in various Photoshop and image manipulations program. There is some non-green tint where they're supposed to be green. The hair does come out looking nice. It doesn't necessarily always move how it's supposed to, but I kind of think they may have just given the She-Hulk actor, because remember, Chana Maslany. Oh fuck, how do you say her name? I'm not even gonna pretend. Tatiana Maslany. I apologize if I'm butchering your name. I really am. Tatiana Maslany, and the character who plays the actual She-Hulk for the motion capture are two different people. The actor is about 6'4", if memory serves. I'm gonna see if I can pull up her in the credits. Let's see. Oh yeah, Malia Aria, or Malia Araya. She is, I believe, 6'4", and they have her portraying. Nope, 6'5.5". They have her portraying for the motion capture acting or motion acting in relation to She-Hulk. She tall. She very, very tall. And me and her are 1 year apart. But I digress. Okay. So, let's get on the non-She-Hulk things because they have to be brought up. Now, I don't know who basically got anything involved in Doctor Strange material and effects down to a science, but most of the visual effects outside of the She-Hulk related ones come from basically two locations. They come from Wongers. I fucking love you, Wongers, bro. Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. Wong, and also the actor who plays Abomination, or rather, whatever company handles the creation of the Abomination visual effect. And if you go from Shang-Chi to Doctor Strange, you will notice that there doesn't even look like there's a real drop in the quality. And they made sure they got the lighting right and a little bit of diffusion that can come from someone being viewed behind glass. I think that's the correct term. So honestly, I can say that they did a good job with the VFX. The only exceptions being the occasional times when, and this is very common, when a moving character is supposed to be moving in 24 FPS to match the scene. But if you know anything about video editing or just, you know, cinematography, 24 FPS isn't always actually a thing. Some programs say that they're 24 FPS, or cameras will say that they're displaying in 24 FPS. But what actually happens is it'll be something like 23.97 and it'll round up, which gives you 24. So because of that and the unknown X factors of how many different lenses or cameras and computers were supposed to be playing this CG animated stuff in 24 FPS, there are actually times, even if watched offline, 1080 or 4K, where it seems like She-Hulk is moving at a slightly different FPS, or her FPS is not matching the scene that she's in. Personally, I feel like they maybe shouldn't have done this show in just 24 FPS. It sounds a little bit weird, but maybe 28, 27, just to make it easier possibly for the cameras and the VFX artists to portray She-Hulk as looking like she's in the same world. Because, you know, far away scenes or scenes where it's not close up, it pretty much looks okay. Obviously, her clothing is CG most of the time. which I don't even think they really had to do that. They could have just had the body double, Miss Ariana, Miss Araya, go in and just green the parts that are going to show and have her walk around in the actual clothing. But no, there are actually times when they literally VFX her entire outfit, despite having real outfits on hand. I went and looked up the Instagram to Miss Tall Lady Arias. Yeah, they actually did have a lot of those outfits. So that's it as far as VFX. Now casting. Okay, let me just pull up the IMDb because I feel kind of bad when I fuck up people's names. Okay, so I'm gonna just say right now, I feel like they did a good job with practically everything except maybe Titania. And I'm gonna tell you why. I don't hate Titania as a character. Titania is basically an on and off rival for She-Hulk. In fact, in the comics, which I actually read, motherfuckers, they've even come to an agreement, I believe as of 2016, that, hey, look, I got super strength. I really don't have anybody to use it on but you, you know? So I'm gonna fight you, but, you know, I'm not looking to like murder you and stuff. Yes, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that they're basically trying to make Tatiana a fucking Kardashian. A one-woman Kardashian with super strength. Not to spoil too much of the episodes and series for those who haven't watched it, but her introduction and why she's even mad at She-Hulk is because she wants to sue her for rights to the name She-Hulk because she's been marketing and promoting a line of cosmetics as well as perfume, even though she doesn't have any form of necessary, for lack of a better term, scientific credentials to make any of that shit. Her name just got slapped on the label of somebody else's work. Celebrities do it all the time. It's very profitable, not gonna lie. So essentially they're trying to make her the asshole influencer character. So she's somehow some mix of ex-porn star turned influencer. Damn it, what's her name? I should know her name because I don't like her as a person, but people think I hate her because she's a porn star. And that's never been a reason for me to hate somebody. Sometimes it's just they're an asshole. Why is that never a factor? Mila something. Can't remember her name. And also possibly a Kardashian. As a character, that is funny. That is great. But as Titania, it's just fucking weird. This is when I say sometimes Marvel is overreaching or over modifying. No, not over, unnecessary modifications. And that's one of them. And it genuinely bothers me. Do I think she's written well? Not really. I don't think like the writing is shit. I mean like the characters, the way the character speaks and the entire mannerisms, it's just fucking weird. Because theoretically, without ages being given, Jen and Jen and Bruce are around the same age. Like literally they're around the same age. So that means that Jen should be in the middle of her 30s. But here's her rival acting like some teenager who got famous like a Kardashian or something, minus, you know, distributing your own fucking porn tape. And it's just weird to see them even have issues that center and relate to that. But at the same time, this is a comedy. So the writing works in the sense of the story, but not for the character of Titania. And that bothers me. Other than that, you know, I like what they were going for. Abomination was a weird situation. I was curious how they was going to handle that. Everyone was curious how they was going to handle that. Because when they confirmed that Tim Roth was, in fact, you know, friends with Wong, no one knew where that was going to go and when it was going to show up. And I'll be damned if I expected it to show up in She-Hulk. So I like that they found a way to not so much wrap up loose ends, but explain loose ends that were never actually loose with these side stories, which is one of the coolest things I thought was ever going to happen when it comes to Marvel Disney Plus TV shows. They can explain what happens in the middle or what characters are doing in their downtime because, you know, the world's not always ending. Well, let me phrase that. The world's not ending unless it's a movie. moving on. Obviously, I have to bring up Tatiana Maslany. Her voice just works. Her voice just works as Jennifer Walters. However, I kind of would have liked if there was maybe a deviation when she became She-Hulk. But to be fair, that's a gripe I've had since, like, I don't know, 2008, 2009. I get it. I understand it. But I grew up with with cartoon Hulks. So for the most part, the voice was always portrayed to be different or have a different tone or level of bass as compared to the person when they're not in their Hulk form. For her, it's practically 1-to-1. She's proven and shown in 2 occasions she can go to that extra guttural level, but I would have liked it if maybe she had a completely different voice when she became She-Hulk. But I'm not going to fault that. As far as the acting goes, Tatiana, again, she found that way, and I hate that when people can do this, where she can flip between serious moment and funny, goofy shit. Somewhat reminiscent of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. No, not my Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I've only had 2. I learned my lesson. I mean the TV show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. In fact, I'd say that their voices even sound like her and the main character from Crazy Ex-Girlfriends. And the fact that she can do that, I like. A part of me also wanted the chick from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend to play Jennifer Walters, but, you know, she would need to dye her hair and not be a redhead and technically, I guess, be a little bit skinnier to portray or match up with the character, because the characters enhance whatever's already there. So if you fat before you get hulked out, you're gonna be fat when you hulked out. So I get it. Also, I don't have a problem with her being fat, but it's the world of acting. People need to match characters sometimes. It's that simple. But I would have loved it if she played the character. So good on her. As I'd say, the only true weak spot I would have, the only true weak spot is Nikki Ramos as Ginger Gonzaga. And see, it's one dude, that immortal man. Can't remember his name. You know what I'm talking about though, right?
Stephen Coulter as Holden Holloway.
Yeah, okay, so this is the right guy. So this guy, which I didn't even know he was in 5 episodes. I felt like he was only in 3.
My bad. That's the guy that owns the company, the law firm.
But yeah, the immortal man who they don't seem to have listed up here. There's a character who is immortal and is faked his death to get out of marriages. I want to say close to, I think, 9 times. I get it. I understand it. And for the most part, I like the idea and I like the concept. Because even in the comics or just as a character, she does not quit her job. She literally is a lawyer. She has a specialty now. But she's still a lawyer. She's not living like the rest of the Avengers do, you know, minus Iron Man, of course. And, you know, the other scientists and whatnot, the non-scientists or people without degrees and shit, right? She had a job. And you get to see what happens when she realizes that, well, Bruce was right. You can't ignore what you are for the most part. David Pasquesi. That's his last name, Pasquesi. I really sincerely hope I'm saying that wrong. But yes, David Pasquesi. He had an entire C plot, he had an entire C plot going throughout his time in the show as having to reconcile with being an asshole husband and ditching his wives by pretending he's murdered to avoid, you know, giving them money, essentially. But these are the things that her character should be dealing with. Also, it's a fucking comedy. If you're a lawyer and it's a lawyer comedy, you're going to deal with funny legal situations or legal situations that are made to be funny. That's what I came for. That's what I was promised. No one said this was going to be Winter Soldier and Captain America Part 2. Okay? No one said that. No one said this was Daredevil 2.0. She-Hulk is She-Hulk. Her tagline was attorney at law. Not seriously over dramatic show. Don't get me wrong. Hey, I fucking love those action dramas they got. But this is the closest they got to being funny outside of Deadpool, and the last two Marvel didn't even fucking make. So I'm perfectly fine with this being comedy. I understand that some people wanted the characters to be taken seriously and all this shit to be extremely one-to-one with MCU stuff, but guess what? It was never going to be, and no one said it was. And if you know anything about the character, you know that this is par for the core once you get past the, hey, let's try to, you know, overly sexualize her. Not hyper, but overly and whatnot. Also, the elephant in the narrative room. We're going to shift in the narrative now because, you know, all returning characters did a good job. So really the two people you deal with the most is who I was concerned with. And that was, you know, the people in every episode, essentially. And it's really only 3 people in every episode. So a lot of people have issues with the Malcolm in the Middle style of, hey, let's explain something or talk to the audience and break fourth walls. Here's the problem with you complaining about that. Your arguments are immediately invalid because number one, you not liking it does not mean that it's terribly written. Number two, She-Hulk has been doing that almost since the beginning of her fucking inception. Yeah. Didn't know that, did you? Because you don't read the fucking comics. She-Hulk's a little bit easier to keep up with too because She-Hulk, and I usually time this based on my age, I just add 10 years. She-Hulk is about 45, 43 years old. She's fairly new. She came out in the 70s, not to quote unquote titilize little boys and young readers and shit, although that obviously happened. Let's not even fucking try to lie. But it was because Marvel had a fear. More specifically, Stan Lee had a fear, and he knocked her out right before he left. So, the producer or company that had the $6 Million Man also made the Bionic Woman, right? Now here's some craziness. They also had the rights to the Hulk. And Stan, and I believe someone else, thinking that they were possibly going to create a female version of that show called She-Hulk, decided, let's make sure we own She-Hulk before, you know, they preemptively possibly try to make a She-Hulk show. In fact, that last episode opening, which a lot of people were confused by, that was kind of like a reference to her history right there. Because that is how she was actually born. It wasn't because, hey, we want to make a sexy version of the Hulk. Because, you know, female versions of characters that already exist are popular in the 70s. No, it was because they wanted to make sure they didn't have to fight anyone for the rights or the licenses. Because it's very common for characters to be made up in any form of a media where there is already established history because it's coming from another franchise. Sometimes, and this is even the weird one, instead of making a character who already exists and fits in a storyline that they're going to use, they will engineer a brand new character that looks nothing like them but happen to go through almost the same shit. I don't know why Hollywood works the way it does, but that's actually why she was born. And here's the crazy part. Right after she was born, that was like the last hero Stan Lee made for Marvel. Like right before he left the company. Then he came back in 92 and made somebody else, but no, we're focusing on She-Hulk. So he wasn't even really involved with writing her outside of the first episode. I mean, the first issue. But to be fair, hey, he made a lot of heroes. He can't stay around to write everything for everybody. I ain't mad at him. Plus, you know, he was at that age where he could comfortably retire and shit. So that's already normalized. So shut the fuck up about it, because you being mad that it's happening doesn't mean that it shouldn't happen. It just means you're mad about it. That's your opinion about it. And it doesn't magically equate to bad writing because you don't like a fourth wall being broke. Something she's been doing for over or just about 30 goddamn years of her 43-ish year history or 44-year history of publications on and off. That's right. You're talking to the dude who actually read over 100 or just about 100 She-Hulk comics. Oh, and fun fact, everyone wants to give the writing so much shit, or they claim that she was also written terribly in the comics when you ain't read nothing. Why y'all don't say nothing about Dan Slott when he got put on Spider-Man? He's been considered one of Marvel's greatest Spider-Man writers, or one of the best ones they've had in, close to 2 decades. What do you think he was doing beforehand? He didn't just magically get the top dollar Spider-Man from the get-go. He was on She-Hulk, and he's actually possibly one of the people who wrote the longest for She-Hulk. Hopefully, they have him also involved with writing in season 2. He knows what he's doing when it comes to She-Hulk, or rather, he understands that the character is more than just sex symbol, whether it's intentional or accidental, depending on who's drawing or writing her. So, let's move on to the regular narrative the non-meta narrative, I mean. The actual story and synopsis. Jennifer Walters becomes like her cousin and initially rejects the whole concept of having a superhero life or even really being a superhero. And for the most part, she doesn't even do it in an orthodox manner that most would expect once she embraces it. So over time through the course of the story, she ends up discovering, point blank, that, okay, she has to learn to juggle both. But on top of learning to juggle both, she also has to have a little bit of character development, because that's how you make a story worth watching. And also, over the course of the story, without me trying to spoil shit, has to come to the realization that she, as a person, needs to accept the green half, but she also needs to not let people who won't accept both halves of her, because the two wholes make one. It's not two separate entities. The two halves make a whole. So, she kind of got over her boy troubles, or rather, she started being able to better deal with her boy troubles. And I honestly like that. Also, despite what idiots have to say, it's okay to not like She-Hulk. I'm fine with that. You wanted another, Winter Soldier and Captain America. You wanted another Iron Fist. You wanted another Defenders. You wanted another Jessica Jones. Okay, that's fine. But no one told you were getting that with She-Hulk ever, at all.
Can I say something here?
Go ahead.
Nobody wants another fucking Iron Fist.
Okay, I give you that. I give you that. But to be fair, everybody in season 2 was the shit, except Danny Rand.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched like 5 episodes out of the first season, and I was like, okay, I see it. I kind of like it. And then, other shows popped up, and I was like, these are way better.
You're absolutely right. So here's the weird thing, and this is where I think they cursed themselves. So, Iron Fist season 2 makes up for everything wrong with season 1, but they did it the worst way possible. And I've mentioned this in my Iron Fist review. They decided to enhance the story of all the supporting characters. So literally, even if they don't get more screen time than him, everybody's story throughout the series is actually more interesting and engaging than fucking Danny Rand's. Mind you, those characters are actually supporting characters in the New York side of things. Don't get me wrong. But it was just really, really fucking almost sad that they took that route. They knew they had good characters, or rather they had really good writers, at least for season 2. But I caught myself. I specifically said season 2. But the problem is that they didn't put them on their main character.
When your character lacks a lot of even any point of likability throughout the first season, you have to save the show somehow and overshadow his unlikability.
And bro, here's the thing. I don't know if you noticed this, but if you watch Defenders and then watch Iron Fist, they don't even seem like the same fucking person. And Defenders came before Iron Fist.
No, they don't. And,
it's crazy.
And speaking of those series, I love the Matthew Murdock and the Daredevil. Jessica Jones, it took me a minute to actually start liking it, but once it got later in season, I was like, oh, this is some real intrigue shit.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Iron Fist tried to copy, whether they realized it or not, but it just somehow failed, because Jessica Jones did the same thing. There's 3 stories going on in Jessica Jones, both seasons. There's Jessica Jones' story, there's her assistant drug addict or ex-drug addict, and then there's whatever villain she's dealing with.
Mr. Purple?
Yeah, Purple Man. And then season 2, same shit. The only difference is it was more focused on her and the people in her life. So I get it, but getting back on topic, and watching her journey from what would actually happen in a realistic depiction of super person who's reluctantly superized. No, I don't think that's a word either. Ends up, you know, in a world that wants to immediately glamorize, popularize you, and also trying to deal with men who either A, won't touch you in your normal state, or B, only want you because you're your green state. And if She-Hulk was real, I think that shit would actually happen to her. She would go on a dating app because men aren't just walking up to her because in her normal form. You can't even see her walking down the street. Shit, I think Tatiana Maslany is like 5'4". You know she got heels for everything. And, you know, she's also intelligent. Now, yes, there is a stereotype of men are threatened by intelligent women. No, insecure dumbasses are threatened by an intelligent person in general. But they didn't grab that low-hanging fruit. And in fact, one of the reasons I was most pissed off about everyone trying to convince me it was shitty by literally showing me someone else's review because they couldn't say it in their own fucking words. They kept saying, oh, this is female empowerment. I was like, okay, well, first off, no, it's not. But even if it was, how the fuck does that magically equate to a shitty show? A show that's meant to make or help someone feel confident about their sex doesn't magically become shitty. I've never seen somebody say a male empowerment show is shitty because it's male empowering. But I can call off at least 6 or 7 shows that people said was a female empowering show and that actually made it shitty, even if they didn't watch it. And I just keep asking myself, why is it that stupid people tell me things and then expect me to not ask them for citations or an explanation? And then when they do, it's vague and ambiguous shit. Top 3 things I hear from people who didn't like She-Hulk, and this is me asking them. And no, I'm not including you in this yet because you haven't had a chance to go. Just so we're clear. Number 1, oh, I don't like how they treat men in the show. I was like, what specifically? Man, she had sex with Daredevil. It was like, so her having sex with Daredevil immediately makes it a bad show. Well, there's more to it than that. I'm asking you to tell me, motherfucker. Which leads me into number 2. They don't like fourth wall being broken. They say it's not characteristic or it doesn't follow the narrative of She-Hulk and that it's out of place. Literally not knowing that that's the definition of She-Hulk. She-Hulk is one of the only characters who literally watched a friend die from obscurity because no one was reading the character's comic book and Marvel couldn't think of anything to do with her. Literally, she had a friend who should be the same age as her, but she aged to like 80 or 90, and she said, well, I'm fading away because no one remembers me and wants to read anything with me in it. I haven't done anything in close to 30 years, Carol. I mean, not Carol, Jen. And then her fucking friend died. It was weird. And I think that's literally one of the only times that's ever happened in the history of North American comic books. She'll even have cover issues where she knows she's in a comic. It's fucking normal. And it's been normal for damn near 30 years. You're just a new person who don't know shit, and you're mad you're not getting an MCU. But again, that part is opinion. Some of them agreed with the statement and changed their opinion later. Some of them adamantly disagreed, but then they still couldn't say in exact words what the fuck their problem was. They could only quote a nebulous statement from someone like It's a Gundam or shit like that. I can understand if you have legitimate problems. Angry Joe has legitimate problems. He's not sexist, and nor does he hate the show because it's about a female. But he even admitted in one of his first episodes where he was talking about Ben Shapiro trying to fuck with this show for no reason because he's Ben Shapiro and he doesn't like that Marvel gets more attention than him and that they won't hire him to write on anything. There is literally a group of people who would just hate this because they see a female on screen in a Marvel movie. That's where I like to have my distinguishing factors. If your hatred for this is based on someone telling you they didn't like it because they get paid to be assholes and trolls online and you can't be descriptive and everything you say is nebulous, we have a fucking problem. Because now you're just a fucking stereotype. We need less of that. We need critical thinking in North America. The problem is critical thinking, ironically, isn't really taught till you get to the collegiate level, which a lot of people in this country don't even try to go for. So a stupid person sees someone manipulate them into thinking something, and now they parody the stupid shit, not realizing they've never actually formulated their own opinion. And the third one, oh, it's not serious toned, which falls into something I've said a few times. I'm probably going to say 2 more times before this video's done recording. You were never told you were getting that. You don't go to an ice cream store and give them a bad review because they wouldn't give you a fucking home loan. Bitch, they're an ice cream store. I honestly feel for Jessica Gao. Because you know she got to sit there and watch people make up stupid ass reasons why She-Hulk is bad without even explaining anything. But also, I kind of love how she can just go online and look at She-Hulk memes and she can see the waves of people who actually watch the show or just like the show shitting on people complaining about female empowerment or that the fact that she's a woman is the reason the show's bad and they can't give, accurate descriptors. They've made so many memes. My favorite one is the incel meme. Oh my fucking God. And just so we're clear, I know it may seem like, quote unquote, I have a personal bias because I read the comic books. No. The comic books are the reason I can tell if the show is good or bad because I respect the character and the material it came from. If I had a 100% unbiased opinion or even a 1% a 1% biased opinion, let alone a 100% biased opinion, I wouldn't waste my time doing this. Also, Haven, you wouldn't be here, who has a completely different opinion to me that I want to hear, because I want to see, or rather, I want to hear from someone who actually doesn't like the show and is not trying to use it to disguise their insecurities and sexist nature, or just wanting to get internet trolls to, continue to watch their shit because they don't care that they get them, like Melanie Mack. Oh my God, that girl is, I don't even know, like, and this I've seen, and I've had conversation with people in real life and in her comments about this. They don't know if she's just really, really delusional and ignorant, or if she's stupid and thinks that her opinion automatically equates to objective fact. She tried commenting on She-Hulk, I think like a month ago or something, or 3 weeks ago, stating that, well, the show's not doing that great. Yeah, and it's an actual fact. Look, I went on this website and found the metric data that is not authorized or officially made and given to us by Disney, and it only covers, I believe, North America. I went to look at the site. I forget. I haven't looked at it again since then. Saying that, hey, look, She-Hulk doesn't have high numbers. I was like, motherfucker. At what point in time did we decide that pulling up one random stat off of a website with no citations or verification given by you or shown to us by you on how they came to how they got the data and why the data is 100% accurate or valid is how research works? When did we start that? When people stopped using their brains and they went on Google and Wikipedia for every single answer. So, and this isn't specifically for Melanie Mack. This is for anybody who likes to do their homework. This is how things work. Let's say you want to quote something from Wikipedia, which, remember, colleges were getting pissed and banning a whole 10 years ago, which led to the giant Wikipedia overhaul. Let's say you want to do something on Wikipedia, and I got it on my screen right now. So, Haven, you don't have to follow along, but I'm on the She-Hulk Wikipedia page. You see something and it tells you something about She-Hulk. Let's go to publication history. First line, She-Hulk was created by Stan Lee, who wrote only the first issue and was the last character he created for Marvel Comics. There's a little number in a bracket right there. You click the number. It takes you to that listing. For that statement, number 9. And then it says, it gives me 2 links, She-Hulk. And then another one says Dan Markinson Toonopedia, archived. I'm going to click the first one where it says She-Hulk. That's how you get your information and your citations and your quotes. You don't say quote wikipedia.com. You go to wherever the approved alteration is, and then you click it, and then you read what it says, which people don't want to do. And then you scroll until you find where they talk about how the fuck the characters were born and shit like that. That's how you do it. That's what you do. No, let me just read number 10. Amaya Eric, September 20th. Everything we know about Marvel, She-Hulk, Disney Plus. Rotten Tomatoes retrieved. Retrieved from Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, see, it's not hard. Literally, go to the bottom of any Wikipedia page where it says references. That's how you get references to the information that's stated above. Why is this fucking hard for people?
Because they need to read.
Damn. You know what? You kind of sort of might be right. Not even gonna lie. But, I digress. The concept of critical thinking, citations, and verified research, unfortunately, is getting overpowered by, what do they call it? Negative something? Or L-ratioed. L-ratioed, and ignorant people not seeking proper information. So L-ratio is when some information that is wrong or some person that is proven wrong is looked upon as right, and that they're winning an argument or a debate that is based in information and the seeking of information that's accurate, because more people are retweeting, liking, and posting up and promoting the wrong information. The fact that we live in a society where that's capable is already frightening. But here we have Melanie Mack and possibly dozens, if not hundreds of other people online saying, this show's too woke, man. Oh, you mean that word? I'm sorry, that slang term that doesn't have a dictionary definition unless you go to Urban Dictionary, which isn't a real fucking dictionary? And I've even asked people who say this to me, define woke. You know what woke means. It's like left politics, bro. It's like, that's not woke. That's the democratic political principles. But also, you're not stating any democratic political principles, nor do I ever think you even looked up any democratic political principles. So what do you mean when you say woke? Man, fuck you. It's like, so I asked you for information because I wanted to understand your logic and not so much empathize with it, but see if you are actually having a problem with the show, or somebody you like who talks about terrible things or is terrible and gets attention for being terrible online actually had some valid points. Remember, what did I say at the beginning of this? Angry Joe didn't like She-Hulk. I'm okay with that. He stated his reasons and he went episode by episode, and they're not based in sexism. They're not based in lying and manipulating the concept of woke. If the people you established the word woke to didn't come up with the term, you just labeled them that, it doesn't magically apply when you can't understand why you can't explain something. I literally know at least 15 people said, oh, I liked it until it got woke. What episode specifically and at what point in time? Man, come on, man. Don't make this an information thing. I was like, what? Listen to what you just said. I'm asking you to explain why the fuck you don't like something, and you can't say nothing that's not ambiguous and didn't come out of somebody else's mouth. It's like people forget there are people online who get attention. It's like people online who completely forget that not everyone online is noble. There are some people who are online to get attention, and they don't care if they get it for a positive thing or action or for being negative, as long as they get the attention and the money that can come with it. That's why Alex Jones exists. That's why Ben Shapiro exists. And for every one of them, hopefully we get 5 more TYTs. We get 5 more Brian Tyler Cohens. And we get a dozen more Jon Stewarts. It's not about left versus right mentality. It's about stupid people being manipulated by people who have hidden agendas and then lying on the left to make it look like they have a hidden agenda when their shit is well, they're the only ones being honest. And I don't mean an entire political spectrum, because first off, human beings, to human is to error. There are people on the left side who can lie. There are people on the right who can lie. But the profit margins from lying, the lion's share, come from people who lean right. Most every domestic terrorist we've had to deal with in this country leans right. Where did they get their ideology from? Right side.
That got extremely political.
Didn't have a choice. Whenever you bring up the word woke, you automatically fucked, because woke is associated with an entire political spectrum that they didn't even ask for, nor did they give themselves a title of. And the people who actually made up the term for a derogatory purpose, which is what it was initially used for, don't even have and never established a set definition. This is what I mean by ambiguous negative rhetoric. If you can't spot ambiguous negative rhetoric, or the person spouting that shit can't explain it, it's not so much I automatically win. It's more like I'm let down and disappointed, because I came looking for answers to a question that you claim you know the answer to, and now you're telling me, nah, fuck it. That's what bothers me. That's what genuinely fucking bothers me. You want to be right, on the right, but when I ask you a question, fuck you, I'm a leftist, I'm woke, all this other shit, because you can't explain your shit. Then just shut up. How about that? Well, I got freedom of speech with the First Amendment. Okay, but what do you get with the Fifth Amendment? The right to shut the fuck up. If you don't enjoy the show, I'll leave you alone and I'll say, okay, I like it. And that'll be the end of it. But when you want to come tell me I'm an idiot and all this other shit because I like it, and you can't explain why you're right, or rather, you can't explain why I'm wrong for liking it, shut the fuck up. But no, that never happens. Welcome to the internet. So yeah, my favorite parts. She smashed Daredevil. She put on the actual She-Hulk suit. It took too long to get to, but I understand it had to be a natural occurrence because she was reluctant as hell. I get it. Fourth wall breaks. I like those. I really did. Also, anything to do with Wong and his not girlfriend. I fucking love Wong, man. I really do. So, least favorite parts. The litany of ex-boyfriends or ex-people she dated showing up, leading into, you know, the whole inner circle thing that happened, where she had to realize, okay, being She-Hulk isn't the problem, being Jen Walters isn't the problem. The problem is people not accepting that you can't have one without the other, and not letting it affect her internally, because it's literally a their problem, not a her problem. And let me just provide context. It wasn't the problem that it happened. The problem was who it happened with. It happened in a moment that was obviously partially meant to be comedic, because it's in a room with Abomination and some other heroes or ex-villains or villain-like people, when it should have happened with her mom and her dad and possibly Bruce on the phone, and Bruce possibly bringing up a similar issue that could have happened in a 5-year time skip. My problem with that issue was the group of people she chose to have that emotional breakthrough and character development with. Daredevil should have been there at least, you know. Again, family members should have been there. Daredevil should have been there as the guy who actually liked both halves of her. And they could have a back and forth like, well, you're just saying that because you can't see me. It was like, well, I mean, I kind of can see you. You know, they could have still made it funny, but the fact that they did, and then it ends with, oh yeah, that guy who can't take his mask off, having a face full of boils and shit. I was like, no, this whole scene should have happened without those people being in the room. Keep the Wrecking Crew guy and brought in her family. That was my least favorite part. My only other least favorite part, I did not like Mr. Immortal throwing himself out a window to prove a point and all that shit. In fact, that the Mr. Immortal guy whose name I keep forgetting, because I know the character's name you said is the actor's name is David Pasquesi. He was a good actor, don't get me wrong, but I think he should have been devoted to half of an episode or a B plot of one episode, essentially, and that should have been the end of it. I didn't like the back and forth. But and just so people know, yes, he is a real character. And I do like how they utilize this story, though. He's the guy who basically shows, outside of Abomination, you know, her being a lawyer for super or supernatural people. Anyways, final grade, B+. Are there some things they could have done better? Absolutely. I've already mentioned the VFX issue, and also, you know, some B plots, or I guess C plots, they seem unnecessary, or that they should have happened with a different group of people being involved. Would I watch a season 2? Absolutely. And this is from someone who actually knows and understands the concept of She-Hulk. Now, that being said, I'm going to turn over to Haven. You know, you can go down the list, tell us what you're thinking, and if you want to call off a character, let me know and I'll go pull them up on IMDb so people can see my screen. So yeah, how you feel about the VFX?
So, as a person that doesn't get too far into, you know, creating stuff and visual effects, the visual effects for this show in particular was kind of stunning for me because, you know, I've seen a bunch of things. I'm from the Doctor Who era, so I remember when you could see the strings and everything attached to everything. So the fact that that CGI has come so far and they have a great studio behind making the effects for this, the little things that, you know, a professional will see that I don't see, the effects were A1. Like from both Hulks all the way down to like the jetpack and jumping and fucking, especially when they brought in Matthew Murdock. Like the effect of his situational awareness when he rolls around and falls off, or when she picks up a car and throws it, like visual effects A1 for me. There were some times where you would, if you were like watching it on a platform that was on like a cellular device, or you were in a place with bad reception or something like that, you could see the frame rate drop. But I chopped that up to being like Wi-Fi signal and cellular phone problems. And, you know, as a person that doesn't have many experiences with visual effects, we're just going to go ahead and leave that where it is, you know, given the whole, hey, Gold Star, you made a show that, you know, made me want to watch it. So let's leave that there. Casting. I love most of the characters. Most of them. Like I said, like, it's a great show where with visually effects speaking, but like Gina Gorzana, Nikki Ramos,
yeah, like
the friend
I said
to
the same thing, bro. Like, she feels like she's trying too hard to be the comedy element when the show is already gonna be funny. And also, you're a lawyer assistant. I don't know no legal assistant who even remotely tries to act like that.
I mean, so different work environments, different places. You know, they literally have been together forever, is how the story seems to be portraying them. So I get it. That's your friend. She's also technically your boss. So you gotta be pleasant around them. But the whole, like, I just don't like the personality. Like, Same. We have a bunch of people that are like, you know, hey, I got my coffee, I'm fucking like chipper as shit and all this stuff. She seems like the friend that you would have if somebody fucked with you, she would be right there. And I commend her. Great job bringing that to the character, having Jennifer Walters back. Just don't like the character in general. And I don't know if it's a me thing, it's a way she, you know, there are people in this world that they can do nothing wrong to me and then their physical presence within 6 feet of me or on a TV screen will physically piss me off for no reason, and I have to change the channel. And I'm not saying this character is one of those people, but I have a dude at work that is just like that, and I cannot stand in the same room as him. So it's a physical. I don't know what it is. I just don't like the character. And kudos for her for playing this character, because the character may not, feel great to me as the person watching it, but I'm sure there are people that identify with this character and be like, hey, that was my childhood friend, or, I used to be like this with my buddies and stuff like that. Cool, rock out. The boss, the Stephen Coulter, who plays Holden Holloway, the boss, he was a little lackluster for me, to be honest. Like, you see him like for 2 minutes, maybe once an episode, where he's telling her, oh, we're going to sign this conflict of interest waiver, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, I don't think that's how the law actually works. Granted, I don't know how the law actually works because, I'm an Amazon worker. But the few times he's on the screen, it's just like, yo, my guy, like the way you're talking to this person, Jennifer Walters, like, I'm surprised she hasn't sued you, like, at all. And I get the show's trying to be comedic. Oh, the hard ass boss. This is the way they want to run it. But, give the dude some fucking color. Like, he's always like, Jennifer, they want us to do it like this. So we're going to have you sign a conflict of interest waiver. And, it was nothing like with your cousin and this. Yo, bro, be animated about it. You're fucking talking to the She-Hulk and she doesn't want to do something. Jane Jonah Jameson's that shit. Like, get out there and find me pictures of Spider-Man. Like, come on, guy. Like, put some effort in it. Because you already have a colorless, like, guy for Holden Holloway. And then you got Pugs. And Pug is just so meek until he finds something that he wants to go after. And I get it. They're portraying this guy as one of those guys that wants to be on everybody's team. He's meek, he has his passions, but he doesn't really express them. He's that guy that gets along with everybody. And it's cool. I like Pugs. Pugs is really cool. Glad they brought Tim Roth back. Don't know how I'm going to keep up with, all the Hulk storylines with Tim Roth being in a different Hulk than Mark Ruffalo.
Okay, so here's how it works, because they explained it, and it's the same. Theirs is a little bit different than James Jonah Jameson being in both Spider-Man. So for the case of Tim Roth, what they did was they decided that the story that we saw, the one with Edward Norton, Hulk,
yeah,
that happened. However, our Mark Ruffalo went through that instead of Edward Norton, because, well, they won't say officially what it was, but Marvel didn't want to fucking work with Edward Norton because Edward Norton kept complaining about the script. But then, he decided that nothing he could do is wrong, despite having a history of sociopathic-like tendencies when it comes to the production or development of anything he's worked on, which is why he does so little work in the past, like 10, 20 years. And that's why we still have the same Abomination, but we have a different Hulk. It's because, as far as Marvel is concerned, copy-paste Edward Norton out of every scene and put Mark Ruffalo in there.
Oh, so I actually do remember that in like the first scene where he's talking about his darker days.
Yeah, that was Edward Norton Hulk he's referring to. I also still have the Slurpee cup.
So yeah, Tim Roth, great great character. I love the wacky way they went about Abomination and the fuck is the character's name? Ellis something.
Who we talking about?
We'll find that later. But Tim Roth, I love fucking the chemistry that he has with Jen. I love that he's pulling that kind of zany vibe. Like, you remember Iron Man 3 when they find fucking the Mandarin for the first time? Hi, I'm Trevor. That's the kind of vibes I get from the Tim Roth thing.
That was Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi? No, Trevor's in Iron Man 3. He's the Mandarin. He's the Mandarin video guy. So they videotape him, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Trevor Slattery."
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't watch Iron Man 3 because I knew it was gonna be trash. So yeah, that's the only Iron Man I haven't seen.
So you missed like one of my favorite characters in Marvel history. It's Trevor Slattery because they post him up as the Mandarin, and he thinks it's a gig, and he's literally like cracked out and everything. And he eventually gets captured and taken to Shang-Chi's dad's whatever base, and for impersonating the actual Mandarin, who is Shang-Chi's dad. So it's fucking hilarious. But Trevor is amazing. And then Tim Roth brought that to this character. It was like, so in the original, he was super serious and just like jaded as fuck. And then you come to this show, and it's just like, prison reforms people, which a lot of people don't really know about. They'd be like, oh, you go to prison, your life's over. No, not necessarily. Because if you go to prison, that's where you get 3 square meals a day, education, and rec time. And in those aspects of the prison, they will reform you into a polite member of society.
I just love the level of, I don't know, euphemisms you're using, but I need you to remember, I have the type of audience that will actually believe that's how all prisons work, so be careful.
So it's a broken system. So let's say 45% of people that go to prison come out better for it. The other, let's say, I'm just spitballing numbers here, so don't take these numbers as fucking facts, y'all. Let's say 25% of that comes out, goes back in. They're your recyclables, and then you got like
the recyclables.
15, 20% that they actually just stay in there because they get in there and the life becomes ingrained in their brain and they can't function in society anymore. So, you have all aspects because it's not a perfect system. But Tim Roth as Abomination portrays that system as something as a reform. And I love it. I love every second of fucking Abomination screen time. So let's go ahead and move to narrative. So this is where it gets kind of weird for me. So the first couple episodes, I was vibing with it. I was really enjoying it. And then, started getting into those more sensitive topics. You see her going and dating these guys, and then, they're complete shitbags. Let's be honest. Like, as a person, Jennifer Walters could have done so much better than the guys that she got with.
Yep, and also the show even let her know it. And I like that aspect because if you know any woman that actually deals with a lot of, for lack of a better term, not even catcalling and shit or unwarranted flirting and verbal harassment. I'm talking about they just cycle through a giant dating pool. There's a lot of women who will immediately start thinking, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. It's like, no, you have to meet these people to find out if there's something wrong with them or if they're going to respect you or not respect you. But if there's nobody around to tell them that, or nobody who they'll believe tell them that, you know, they could end up like she was for the first couple episodes. And I fucking like that they was able to actually do that, but apparently you didn't. So to each his own. Continue.
So I love the aspect of the story. Like, hey, we got in an accident. You bled on me. Magic happened and I turned into a Hulk. Okay, cool. Nice, clean, wrap it up in a bow. And then, you know, the fact that Hulk is trying to teach her, and then she's just like, yeah, nah, I'm not trying to do this. Got it. To each your own. You don't want to be a superhero, don't be a superhero. But there's a lot of things that jump up into this story. You're just like, okay, where the fuck did the Hulk go? And, you know, you were thinking that the Hulk was going to be like some type of side character throughout the entire show.
That's
and
literally
I think,
what he was. You only saw him in bits and pieces.
Like, what? How many episodes is Mark Ruffalo? He's in 3 episodes.
Yep.
And the way that it seemed like it was going to be popping up, it was going to be like every other episode you're going to see Mark in that motherfucker. So disappointed at that. But, you know, hey, it's not about Mark Ruffalo. It's not about Bruce Banner and the Hulk. It's about She-Hulk. So I get why Hulk was only in like 3 episodes. But all that knowledge he dropped on her on episode 1, and then she kind of just like dipped. The fact that he didn't like try to check in like at all at the first, and then, you know, then you see them, they kind of talking in other episodes like, yo, when did they repair this relationship? Like, they know the end of episode 1 or 2, they're drinking, and it's just like, okay, yeah, good to go, see you, bye. Like, they patched it up, but it's like, where was the work? Like,
You didn't like
you
the
put
speed
your,
of it. Okay.
huh?
I said, no, I get you. Like, you're saying you didn't like the speed that it happened at.
Yeah, so that's one of my biggest problems with this show, is that a lot of the conflicts get resolved like that. Like, oh, well, you know, we're just gonna, you know, stop fighting because your client kidnapped my client. Oh, hold up. My client called me because you're chasing him. So until we figure out whose client is in the wrong, you know, I'm still gonna beat your ass. Because that's one of the big things I was expecting from She-Hulk, is a lot more, yes, I know it's supposed to be comedy, but a lot more punching things in the face. Because, you know, Hulk and all of them, because I've never read the comics, but I have heard that they're pretty violent. So I was like, I was expecting a more violent She-Hulk.
Yeah, the Hulk, yes, not She-Hulk, though. There have been times when the Hulk literally let himself be decapitated, put in jars, just to see how strong his fucking control of his body was, and to see how powerful his regeneration ability was. He literally told the dude staring at his head in a jar, I let you cut me up so I could figure out how strong my regeneration is. And he snapped his fingers in another jar, and he killed the guy because his body put itself together around him. And he just said, well, you wanted to know what it was like to be me. And it was really fucking dark. But as you know, there's different layers to the Hulk, literally. So this wasn't regular Hulk. This was like some other Hulk. I think he was called Savage Hulk. Like, he actually tortured people and shit.
And that's one of the biggest things that She-Hulk has going for her, is the fact that the Hulk is not a deterrent for her. It's just something that happened to her, where Bruce Banner made the Hulk to protect himself. So the Hulk is an alternate fucking personality at first. And then there are so many alternate personalities within Bruce Banner and the Hulk themselves that
it literally has its own, I think it has literally its own Marvel Encyclopedia entrance, like Hulks, plural.
and that's what really like played a boom for her character because they were just like, she's just a woman and she's angry all the time. That's why she can control it. No, bro. Just because,
Bro, I'm
you're
so
angry.
glad you mentioned that. I don't know if you saw this, but there were people literally trying to say that the show sucks because it's about an angry woman being mad at men. And then they show that one scene from the first episode, but then they don't show what happens literally 3 seconds later. I'm just like, did you watch the actual episode, let alone the show? And then my favorite part is when I show the whole thing, they will blocklist me. I'm like, wow, you a bitch.
Look. If we were going stereotypes, because, you know, women are just angry because, you know, this, that, and the other. I'm just over here like, bruh, as a black person, we have a fucking movie about an angry black person just running around slapping the fuck out of people.
What fucking movie is this?
Shaft.
Oh, yeah. Shaft is a very interesting character. I did like the new movie, but, you know, as predicted, even though everyone loved it, audiences loved it, reviewers said, hey, this movie is terrible. I was like, well, bitch, you don't understand what Shaft is.
That's what is really got this show right here down, is because they're OGs that understand what She-Hulk is. Mm-hmm. And then there are the people that are coming in, oh, it's women empowerment. It's this, that, and the other. I was like, women empowerment just happened to coincide with the She-Hulk.
Not to mention the show, even if it was about female empowerment, as I stated before we started recording, how the fuck does that magically just make it bad? See, people have the literal right-wing stereotype that female empowerment automatically equates to the harassment or the beratement or, you know, the shit-talking of men. But no, female empowerment is literally just female empowerment. And if you have a problem with someone gaining confidence, self-esteem, and learning to stand up for themselves, or being taught to do that, then you're literally half the reason that they have a fucking problem in the first place.
You're literally part of the problem.
Yeah, like, I know it sounds like a stereotype, but no, it's literal. You're literally part of the fucking problem. And Marvel even acknowledges She-Hulk has had a weird and unique history. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can pull up that meme that I have for it. There it is. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on your screen. This is on my computer though. And it's very accurate. I don't know if you know, but there's basically only really 3 characters in Marvel, technically 4, that are allowed to break the fourth wall. Gwenpool being one of them. But what she said about She-Hulk in particular was funny and put her under a banner. I'm gonna see if I can load the screen up for the audience, but you take a look at that picture I just dropped. The invented to be eye candy but given better character development later crew. She technically wasn't invented to be eye candy, but almost from her second issue onwards, you know, it was kind of implied directly and indirectly. So, like I said, technically, she only exists because Stan Lee was scared that the producers of The Bionic Woman and The $1 Million Man were going to take, since they had access to Hulk, and make a She-Hulk show, and they wouldn't own the character. That's actually how she was born. However, again, as early as her first year of existence, she was obviously made to be provocative or attractive. Do you see the image?
Yeah. I'm reading the blurbs. I'm a really slow reader.
Yeah, but that's Gwenpool. Gwenpool is a female character who isn't so much based off of Deadpool. She's a human being who's obsessed with comic books, and she fell into the Marvel universe, and she knows she's in the Marvel universe. So that's why her character is written the way it is. Almost interviewed one of her like best writers once.
Why is Squirrel Girl bewildering though?
Because no one understands why she's suddenly becoming popular when she was basically not for the entirety of her inception.
I mean, screw popularity. She can beat Thanos, so.
No, she did beat Thanos. But that's also one of the things people didn't like about her. But the way her character is designed, she's not supposed to be able to lose a fight. However, Marvel just doesn't use her in situations where, you know, a serious threat theoretically could not lose to her. She just doesn't show up. So that's how they get around that.
I mean, there are several characters in the Marvel Universe. If they showed up, like with Ultron or with fucking Thanos, there would have been no problems. Like, it's a comic book world, bro. Like,
no, I mean, her actual title is The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Yes, I know. I love the Squirrel Girl.
Don't get me wrong. Like, she can get her ass beat, but that's how they get around it. They just don't put her in a fight that everyone knows she should lose. Or they put her in a fight where where they're temporarily fighting and then they stop. That's how they get around it. But yeah, that's essentially, you know, my 2 cents though. Continue.
Okay, we were at narrative, right?
Yes.
So they talking about shows female empowering. The female lead is this, that. It's like, first off, who the hell else were you going to get to play She-Hulk?
Like, who were you expecting to be the star?
The title She-Hulk means that it's inherently going to be a female person. And not to put down, you know, the rest of the LGBTQ community being like, hey, you couldn't be the She-Hulk. You be whoever the fuck you want to be. But in the title, it says She-Hulk. So I think it'd have been a problem if they had cast a guy to play She-Hulk.
Or if 90% of the show was about Bruce Banner, you know?
Yeah. And trust me, there's been shows where it's just like, hey, da-da-da-da-da, and it's supposed to be about the side character. And then it's just, you know, the side character's view on following the main character around. And, you know, it works for some shows, but
it's called second
She-Hulk's not a side character.
Yeah. Like, her and Bruce literally don't even have that many times in comics where they meet, unless it's like a crisis. They literally have separate lives and lead separate journeys. So the fact that he was used so little is accurate.
And then let's talk about the fourth wall breaking. Because, you know, everybody's like, oh, she doesn't fourth wall break. That's stupid. I was like, first off, if you just, you know, Google She-Hulk fourth wall break.
Let me get some pictures. But continue.
Gonna make me go into my computer and pull up things. But if you literally just go in there and just type She-Hulk, if I spell She-Hulk right,
bruh, you can't.
I put a J in it. Yeah, I put a J in it because I fat fingered the keyboard.
I already got an image for you. Don't worry, it's loading.
Cool. So there's literally fucking proof, like 30 seconds if you just type it into your fucking phone, your computer, hell, shit. If you go to a fucking comic book store Pinterest. And pull open, what's up?
No, I'm saying in Pinterest too.
Pinterest. If you go into a comic book store and just pick up a random fucking volume or comic issue and open it up, you could probably find about 4 or 5 places where she breaks the fourth wall. And for real, I don't know why y'all bugging about it, because you love Deadpool. And not for nothing, the second Deadpool movie was kind of trash.
Oh, I can hear the internet. They're coming for you.
Hey, look. I'll sleep with Ryan Reynolds any day, and you know that as a fact.
Fun fact. Besides being a diabetic, Haven is also bisexual. He's a die-bi.
But yes, the Deadpool movie was great. Like, fourth wall breaks, you know. It was great for when it came out. And then Deadpool 2 came out, and you kind of just like, okay, Cable's there. Cool. it tried too hard. It really tried too hard. I'm really waiting for Deadpool 3. But so I feel kind of weird about the Malcolm in the Middle way she did that shit though. Like, oh, you know, this is the end of the episode. Why are you still here? Just like, okay, so kind of seems redundant that you asked me why I'm still here when there's still like 4 or 5 minutes left in the episode, and I know that shit's not all credits.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if this bothered you or not. I didn't list this as like a personal gripe or held it against them, but it did kind of bother me, bro. Did you notice that some of the time when they do the episodes, they will have it to where they fucking have an actual after scene, and then other times it'll be just extra artwork made to look like court panel drawings. So I'm just sitting up here like, bro, just pick one. Like the first 3 episodes, she has post-credit scenes. But then 4 and 5, there's nothing. They just show extra court image drawing styles of things that happened in the episode or would theoretically have happened after the episode ended. I'm like, bro.
I'm gonna be honest with you. As soon as it hits the credits and it pops up to play the next episode, I just hit next episode. So if there was after credits, I didn't see them.
But here's the thing. They would be like, some of it was basic shit and some of it was just funny. Like the first episode, because you know she kept asking, is Captain America a virgin? And Bruce was like, don't ask me no shit like that. He's my friend. Don't worry about it. But you know you love him. Like she got his ass as her screensaver on her phone. I don't know if you caught that. That was fucking hilarious. Through the whole season, her screen phone saver is Steve Rogers' ass, right? But she pretended to be drunk. And somehow Bruce fell for it. And he just goes, he slams glass down. Steve Rogers lost his virginity in 1940 or 1943 because he slept with one of the female dancers that fell in love with him when he was out there doing a USO show. Ha! I got you! I knew he wasn't a virgin. And I'm just like, okay, that was fun. Then the next episode, and these aren't big things, mind you, she's helping her parents change a tire or an axle on a van just by holding it up. And she's also carrying 3 giant jugs of water containers for, you know, one of those water spout things. I forgot what they're called. Water dispensers. What do you call those things? Where you put a giant water bottle on top of it and it just gives you water. Oh yeah, portable water fountain. Why am I blanking on portable water fountains?
Call them the cooler.
Okay, that works too. And I'm just sitting over here like, okay, what the fuck was the point of this one? Their quality is really, really not consistent. Not in the fact that they did them, but in what you see after it ends. But the what was it? Not Nicki Minaj, but the one who I always mistake for Nicki Minaj. Fuck. Damn it, what is her name? Megan Thee Stallion. That one was pretty funny. But yeah, they were weird with it. Some episodes have it, some episodes don't. But yeah, that was it. You can look them up later, I guess, when this is over. So were you done with narrative or was there something else left?
Yeah, I was moving on to favorite parts.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, so favorite part for me, I forgot it real quick. When she comes out of the the Disney Plus queue to go into the actual office. All of that. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my favorite part was, basically I like the first scene where she's training to be a Hulk. Like the whole competitiveness between cousins, kind of hit me home,
Bro,
I like being competitive.
I would literally go out of my way to wake my cousins up with a blowhorn if I had the chance. No scientific reason, just because I know they can't catch me. I would totally do that.
So, 3 ways I know it's going to be a good episode. If Tim Roth is there, because, fucking Abomination and Emil Blonsky, that's his name. If Emil Blonsky's in the episode, I know it's going to be a good episode. If Wong is in the episode, know it's gonna be a good episode.
Hell yeah.
If Matthew Murdoch's in the episode, know it's gonna be a good episode.
And somebody's gonna get laid.
Yes. And then my least favorite parts is the whole fucking finale. Shit pissed me off. And, you know, as you said, they had one of the coolest parts where she fourth wall breaks and just like comes out of the whole fucking screen.
She fucked up Shang-Chi. Oh my god.
But it just felt like they were trying to be too on the nose about her fourth wall breaking that entire episode. Like, the episode didn't feel comfortable to me. It felt kind of jumbled. And then the resolution to that episode was kind of like,
okay, yeah.
Like I said,
yeah,
I don't like fast things. Like, yeah, hey, play this out. Bro, how is this gonna go?
Like, that bothered me, but it wasn't my most hated moment. Like I said, my version of that where it jumped too fast was, like I said, when she's at the retreat telling these strangers about, you know, dating and relationship insecurities.
I mean, but that's how that works, though, my guy.
No. It was just the people she did it with. That's my problem. But
so like when you go to resorts like that, I don't know if you know this, but
no, I know what they are. I'm saying, like, the fact that she had that breakthrough with these fucking strangers. That's my problem with it. When there were so many people in the cast, she could have had it with. But because, you know, like, that dude with that mask on, we ain't gonna see his ass again. Or if we
look, we're not talking about Porcupine right now.
Oh my fucking god, I hate that guy so much. Like, I hate the whole concept.
I understand the concept. I understand why she revealed it to these people, because it's a support group.
Yeah.
And the support group is run by Emil Blonsky, who is, in fact, very fucking persuasive.
Yeah, but I agree with that whole ending bit too, because I like where it was going, because it was even acknowledging, like, if we actually wrote some action-packed, illogical ending like this shit is not gonna make sense, and it'll only be catering to people who don't even fucking like our show, and we know aren't gonna like our show in the first place. But what I don't get, and why I'm a little bit annoyed, is what actually happened in that area then. Because remember, she stops to go complain about how it was ending, and then it just skips to the end of it. Bro, what happened in the middle?
She explains what happens when she's talking to Kevin. She explains how the stuff's gonna play out. Just, it feels, I'm gonna be honest with you, it feels like they had some budget cuts and they had to find a way to end the episode without actually animating the entire fucking episode. So
here's my problem with that. They have Disney money and they don't have a set release schedule that they can't alter manually. But I do like the jokes about it.
They explain what happened with fucking Hulk, not Hulk, Todd's bitch ass. I fucking hate that character. Out of all the douchebags on the show, I fucking hate that character.
Bro, like seriously,
I would have a lawsuit every day because I'd punch him in the throat.
And then also that frog guy, I fucking hated that guy too.
Oh, Ribbit and Rip It?
Oh my god. Why did you
the dog frog? I don't even think I think his name's like Leapfrog or some shit like that.
Bro, listen. Literally, that guy to me is what happens if superheroes were real and rich kids never get told no by their parents. Like, I feel like he's that dude who has nothing to do with his life other than spend his parents' money, and instead of instilling discipline in him, they just throw money at him. To me, he is the logical evolution of the spoiled rich white kid, or if there was someone else in the show, spoiled rich kid of whatever ethnicity or nationality they fall under. He is that logical next step of what would happen if those people existed in a world where superheroes were weird.
I feel
Man,
you.
I
I feel
want
you. Like,
superpowers. You can't just get them; they just happen to you. But I want superpowers, mommy, daddy. I want superpowers now. Richard, you're 35. You heard what I said, bitch. Like he feels like to me what would happen if you actually gave a spoiled kid who got everything he wanted in life, even as an adult, access to money.
so speaking on that specific stereotype, there was another stereotype in the fucking show that had me pissed off. But I
Oh,
can't blame him because it's a really used stereotype, and
I
that
feel
was the
like I already know
designer
what you're
guy.
about to say. You're about to talk about the flamboyant quote unquote minority fashion designer.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that one. I literally saw that. Man, if Haven watches this, he's gonna want to beat that character.
So look, he sounded like the guy from The Big Bang Theory. So I thought it was gonna be Sheldon. I was like, oh, that's a actually weird place to put him. He usually plays super intelligent people. That's really cool. And then I seen it and I was just like, y'all fucking with me right now, right? We're talking about female empowerment and shit like that. So the first thing you do is play the stereotypical flamboyant black guy as the designer. We're talking about empowering people. We're talking about, being better as a society, pointing out all these fucking flaws. Pointing out all these fucking flaws. And the first trope that you stick with is the flamboyant black guy as the fucking designer. I'd have still had the fucking gripe if it had been a flamboyant white guy as the designer.
Oh, totally same. Like every fashionista and fashion designer, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying they're gonna be have some cool name like Ricardo Montalban. I think that's an actual person, but I'm not sure. And just dress like that and then think that they're a hyper elite. But the fact that that character has never ever changed from his stereotype since its inception, it's kind of depressing.
And then my biggest gripe with the episode that he's introduced on, I think it's the Rip It and no, he was introduced earlier.
He's the one who foreshadows Daredevil. He's in like episode 3, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And then you get to the fucking Frog Guys episode, and the dude gets upset because she has to represent a client. Like, first off, you're a business. He's a business transaction guy, so he definitely has to deal with lawyers and all the red tape it comes with making super fucking suits. Cause all of that material that they order is definitely on some type of fucking watch list.
Yep, or it's a controlled substance.
Yeah. So he definitely has to deal with lawyers on an almost daily fucking basis. So when a lawyer comes up, hey, there is a client that I have that is trying to sue you. We would like to settle out of court if that is necessary. And then the fucking guy flies off the hinge. Like, first off, his character didn't even seem like it would do that. He seemed like a dude that would understand, the inner workings of the fucking law system and have a set of lawyers already set up for that. Matthew Murdoch. But for them to come in and just like let him lose his shit like that felt kind of degrading. I was like, as a black man, I'm kind of confused by this character. As a black woman, I'm kind of confused by this character too.
You adorable 1/4 African American.
Hey, I'm Irish and black. They don't play around. Okay, let's go to grade. I give it a C+ to a B-. Didn't like the show, but the show.
Bro, pick one.
I'm gonna give it a C+. I'm gonna give it a C+. I'll give it a what's a C plus? Like a 69.5?
It's like a 70.
70? All right, we'll put it at a 70.5. Because it has great. It has great potential. Let's put it that way. It has great potential. It has a lot of great actors in it. It has a lot of things that could go right about it. It just needs, to first, everybody stop hating on something because you don't know what the fuck it's about. And then those people that actually know what it's about, like She-Hulk, the comics and shit like that, come out and actually put out the information.
Yeah, like me. Literally me.
Because those people that are just like, oh, you just don't get it. What the fuck are your facts, guy? If I'm not understanding what this shit's about, why don't you explain it to me? If you're gonna explain it to me like I have never seen this shit before. Explain it to me like I'm dumb as fuck. Because I would rather you speak to me like I'm a fucking idiot and explain every little detail than you, woke. Bro, do you even know what the fuck woke means? I'll give you 10 seconds to actually Google what the fuck woke means, guys.
Yeah, and then if you really stop and think about it, like, if you just go through the history of it, it was a manipulative term used to insult and trivialize anyone who was seeking some form of civil rights, egalitarianism with all forms of people, as well as anyone who just doesn't agree with anything that comes from white ring GOP political politics, whether they are left wing or not. Remember, there's more than two fucking groups. I love how many foreigners I see and come across who think they know how my system works and they want to use me to verify shit instead of just asking. And then they look at me and tell me I'm lying when I tell them, we have over 69 different registered political affiliations in North America. No, you don't. You have two. And that third one that people think that, Bernie Sanders is. Bernie Sanders is a Democrat who wants to hybridize his democratic viewpoints and principles with the positive aspects of socialism. And most people can't even describe or define what socialism is, but they claim they hate it. Same with woke. People think if a show got ruined, it's because it went woke. No. If a show got ruined, it's because the show was bad or nobody watched it. That's it. There are only two reasons why a show is bad. It was not liked because of its quality, or no one remembered to watch it. That's it. You could have the best writers, but if no one watches your show, you ain't getting season 2. You could have the worst writers, but if you get attention and your show is trashy, but it gets attention, you'll have dozens of seasons. Case in point, the Kardashians. That's all I gotta say. And you know the worst part? They keep showing up in my fucking Hulu feed. I fucking hate it.
So this is what I'll put out there. If you think that She-Hulk is woke, that's because it is. It's alert to injustices. It's alert to discrimination in society.
It's a legal show comedy. What the fuck else was it gonna be?
But it's doing that on purpose. It's trying to make light of things to give you something to laugh about. Because we all know, as people that work at certain buildings, people that come out of the military, that the world is too fucking dark for you motherfuckers to be out there hating on some shit because they want to make light of something that's really dark and uncomfortable. So if you can't get behind the movement of making light of shit that makes you upset, of shit that makes you uncomfortable,
guess that makes you a snowflake.
Shit that, people want to feel better about themselves. Hey, I have insecurities about dating. Hey, let me go watch She-Hulk. Oh, she gets over her insecurities by finding out that she has self-worth. If you don't like a story like that, hey, there's many other shows you can go watch. But you don't have to rag on this show.